What is going on, everyone? Super excited to bring episode 2 of Unicorn Finders. I'm incredibly excited to be with these boys again on this lovely Thursday morning. I'm 2 cups of coffee in, so I am ready to go. Boys, thanks for joining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you boys being here again.
Yep, absolutely. We have no choice. It's on the calendar. So wanted to go ahead. So, we all talked about this, on back channel conversations. And I think right now within the job search and really kind of what people are dealing with is obviously everybody being laid off, right? I think the U.S. is their unemployment claims are, I think ever at the most it's ever been, right? Yep. And so I think more than ever, people are really wanting some help and some guidance on what to do now. And so this specific episode is going to be centered around, hey, listen, you get the call today. You got the call last week. You got the call last month that today is going to be your last day. And so now what? And so we're going to dive into that now. And hopefully other people can learn from this and really use this as a tool in your job search. So boys, so the first thing that we're going to dive into right now is, hey, listen, you got the call. What do you do? And so I'm interested to hear y'all's thoughts first. So Jake, go ahead and kick it off on a few things that you would do or advise to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of which pathway you start on depends on which one you're already on. What I mean by that is kind of, are you prepared, or is this a complete, oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about another job in 5 years. I was totally happy with my great team, great people, trajectory, technology. What just happened? So let's start with the former, and we'll hit on the latter a little bit later about just preparations in general. Hopefully you're not one of the people affected. But right now, first thing to do, I think, is just take a breath, step back.
Dude, that's huge. And I'm so glad you said that, because not many people have said that.
You don't need action hour one. You don't probably even need it day one. You just need to step back a second, really assess, okay, this is an interesting situation. Most of the time, if you're getting that pink slip, it's not going to be right now, grab your stuff, get out the door. It's going to be, by the way, in 2 weeks, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have to furlough or lay off or something like that. So you at least have a little bit of time. And most likely, hopefully, you'll be getting a severance on top of that notice. So yeah, step back, take a breath, then assess your tools that you have, right? What do I have in place? Oh my God, my resume is from 2007. Okay, that wouldn't do well. I was still in high school then, so it really wouldn't do anything for me.
Same.
Hey, you can look at my lawn care business. You're welcome. Yeah, but look at what you have, right? What do I have? What I need to update? And what are people looking for right now? Is my skill set viable? And we'll touch a little bit more on resume writing and things like that, but and how to apply. But I still think first step, take a breath, look at what your tools are.
Dan?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Jake, you hit the nail on the head is to relax, take a breath, take a step back. But I would say once you get that call, once you've taken some time, is to create a day for yourself. And in that day it's not looking for a job for 10 hours a day. It's you need to add some time in there to improve. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that, to improve yourself, to pick up a new skill, to work on your resume, to talk and network with other people. But don't just sit online all day for 10 hours a day, looking at every single company in your area or any single, company that may be hiring. You're going to need to add some sanity to your day. So, part of that is creating a routine. Whether it's getting a good breakfast, whether it's coffee, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's going for a walk, not necessarily the gym today, but in a couple of weeks, maybe doing some sort of fitness, but create these patterns where you're used to some consistency in your day. Create that for yourself so you don't drive yourself mad.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. So let's talk about.
You had me at breakfast.
Yeah. You had me at coffee as I currently sip coffee. There you go. We need to get sponsored by some coffee shops. That's the way to do it right there. So let's talk about some tools, right? I think people are like, okay, great. I'll relax. I'll go on some walks, but let's get practical. What do I need to do first? Right. And so I think the first thing is we can all say is the resume. And so, I'll add my 2 cents on this. I think your resume I mean, there's different thoughts on this. I think at most it needs to be 3 pages if you've been in the industry for a very long time. I think if you haven't, but this is your first stop, again, most of what I'm coming from is software development, but if this is your first stop out of code school and you've been coding for 8 months, I think your current position, it needs to be a lot, right? I think 2 or 3 bullet points will not suffice. I think you need to really bring a lot of project specifics out in your resume, and make it clear and concise, right? I think what I'm trying to be vocal about is I think you need to outline specific projects, big or small, a few bullet points under those specific projects of the specific tooling you use to solve those projects, and then to recap each project of your entire tech stack that you worked in within those projects, right? Because recruiters search on keywords, and if your resume, there's a way to do it tastefully from a keyword perspective and then just word vomit everywhere. And so you really need to be on the more tasteful side. So that's my 2 cents on resumes. Dan?
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to talk about, resume length because I don't think that there's a right answer. I don't think that there's a wrong answer. I think, your resume needs to tell your story, and however you feel comfortable telling your story. Some people are a little bit more, loquacious than others and want, some
Good
extra
word.
Thanks, bud. Want some, extra, verbiage or words in there. And I think that that's okay. I think as long as your resume is consistently telling your story, then that's the length that it needs to be. I think 3 pages is probably enough for just about anybody. I know that we're going to probably hear from an executive and say, my resume is 7 pages long. That's perfectly fine. Do what you feel comfortable with. Just know that the average person's not going to sort through, that resume in 7 pages. They're going to try to seek out the information that they think is valuable. So, this is the reason I tell everybody, no matter how long you've been in your job or not, is to always take a look at your resume as that living, breathing document that you have. It's like the Constitution, right? So,
except Nick Cage isn't going to steal your resume.
That's right. Hopefully not. You guys see he's going to be the new Tiger King in some sort
I'm
of
so excited. I'm a big Nick Cage fan.
I'm sure you are. You sound like it. So, but this is where, I tell everybody, look back on the quarter you had, the half year you had, or the year you had. What did I accomplish? So when I'm looking at a resume, as a hiring manager, I'm looking at specifics. I'm not looking to, look at your regurgitated job description. I'm looking at what you were able to accomplish, what you were able to solve, how you were able to save the company money, what you did to grow the money or the company, what you did to bring in new, streams of revenue, whatever it is. I'm looking at things that you accomplished. And if you feel like you can do that in 8 bullet points and you've had 6 jobs and your resume is a page and a half, like that's cool. If it needs to be 3 pages, that's cool too, as long as it's telling that story of who you are and then you're able to back it up. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Man, that's a great point, especially about anything measurable. And I think when I'm talking, that is the ideal. That's what you want to see, is something measurable. Now, some people haven't been in that driver's seat where they feel like I was the one that was making that measurable. And I think that's actually okay to still portray that in your resume from
absolutely.
My work style is supporting. My work style is enabling or empowering or whatever to do the exact same points you were saying, but to make sure that if someone's like, so how did you make those decisions? You don't come across in an interview later and you're like, well, actually I didn't make those. I was just there, but being able to show, because team being able to be a part of a high performing team is just as important as the person leading that high performing team. So either way, you got to have the team to get the job done, right? So how are you kind of explaining that, portraying that, whichever seat you're on? I do think that the easiest way, if you're starting kind of from scratch for building out a resume, is not to go on any of these crappy resumebuilder.com or any of this other kind of stuff. No, don't hire a resume builder. Honestly, just start building out your LinkedIn. Start filling it out. It walks through the exact same thing if you start from scratch, and it prompts you to fill in things.
I like that.
And then you can export a PDF of that LinkedIn for just quick. Like, you don't have to do anything crazy. Or once you get the content, if you really want to go next level, then be like, hey, here's all my content, send it to a resume writer and let them do some sort of crazy magic to it.
I didn't even think about that. I think that's
and then you have both. You got to fill out your LinkedIn anyway. If you want to really network, especially right now where everyone's remote, you got to have your LinkedIn up to date. You can't just bring your resume onto the street corner and start handing it to people.
And I think that's a great kind of transition into the next thing, right? So resume, very, very important right now in your LinkedIn, right? So let's talk about LinkedIn's for me. So what you just said, Jay, kind of goes against what I think, which is why we're doing this podcast. So I think everybody can have different, opinions.
Yeah, totally.
I think your LinkedIn is a summary of your resume, right? So your resume, if it has 10 bullet points, your LinkedIn should maybe have 2 or 3, right? In my opinion, every LinkedIn should have 3 bullet points. Whether you're in software development or not, it's what do you do at a high level? Explain to me like you are explaining it to someone in your family, right? Because we all talk to our families differently than somebody in our industry. What main task are you doing, whether you're in tech or not? And then maybe some technical skills or some tools that you have used, right? And so that's my 2 cents on LinkedIn. So, Dan, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I disagree. I mean, at the end of the day,
Okay.
a LinkedIn can be your resume that gets the most views, right? I mean, we have no problem putting our resume on Career Builder or Dice or whatever, tool is out there. So why limit yourself on LinkedIn, which is a tool that's used every day and will find passive people, right? So if your resume, or your LinkedIn doesn't have enough information to attract that person, that you want to be potentially attracted by, then why limit yourself, right? I mean, if you're going to put, your complete resume on Career Builder, then why not put your, complete resume on LinkedIn? Now, you can certainly leave a few things off or be a little bit less, descriptive about it, but I would definitely, have as many bullet points again as you need to tell your story.
Yeah, and I
Great.
think that your LinkedIn changes whether you're looking for a job or not. If you're trying to be kind of passively and you're in a job and you're whatever, then just throw the highlights up there, right? If you're like going full bore, oh my God, I need to find something, throw everything on there and let it make sense, and then you're ready. Ultimately, whatever you can export and turn into, tailor it to whatever job you're going to, so you can clear off stuff that's not relevant and make sure to highlight things that are, however you can keep that cohesive or keep that in one spot for you to be able to reference it quickly too. Also, we like the three of us would use our LinkedIn totally differently because we're not looking for jobs.
Sure.
And if we were, we wouldn't be, we would go through a network or something like that because all we do is network with people. Right. So for someone who doesn't do that for a living, having that ability to be findable is what.
Sure. But I would say a lot of people aren't always looking for jobs. I mean, take this economy out, right? Let's talk 6 months ago, right? There's a lot of people that aren't looking for jobs that get reached out to by people like us all the time.
Yeah,
and you're often going to do that, whether it's, us individually or people, the company that we work for, people that we work around are going to do that based on your LinkedIn. So, it is a great tool to always have out there. And the best part about being a passive job seeker or not even being in the job market, but having an updated LinkedIn is now you're in complete driver's seat of all of the details, right? Now, if somebody wants to reach out to you about, a perfect opportunity, you get to decide what that perfect opportunity is. And now you get to weigh your options instead of potentially, if you did lose your job or you're all of a sudden really unhappy and you're like, okay, well now I have to search. And now instead of, being able to evaluate all options that are out there, I can only now look at available options at this specific time. So that's why I say, keep it up to date. Look, you only are probably going to add 1 or 2 bullet points, per quarter or per year. So use that time to update it then. And then, like Jake said, when you're ready to update your resume, certainly you can have more information on there, but I wouldn't limit the information you have on social media or on LinkedIn.
One of the best things about about LinkedIn, in my opinion, when you're looking for anything or just looking to be verified, is the recommendations part. I mean, you can have coworkers.
That's a great point.
Former supervisors.
Glad you brought that up.
Boom, just go through and be like, and request it. I mean, it's absolutely requested. You can go on there and you can request, hey, we worked really well together on this project or this team. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to write you a recommendation. Would you mind writing me one? Or just write one anyway if it's the right thing to do.
I think, I personally think that is one of the most underrated, not talked about features within LinkedIn. Yep. I think I've heard some managers go, I don't really care about LinkedIn references, but in my opinion, a reference is a reference. And so load it up. Absolutely. I would at least have 3 references on your LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And I think LinkedIn's UI doesn't do a great job of showing those references because now it's like all the way at the bottom past like that skills thing where you can just do like plus on everybody's skills. So
pizza eating.
Yeah, exactly. Meme making.
I have that
right?
one. Yeah.
You so, at the end of the day,